Yeah, I think that's spot on. I mean, I think that's it's doing the little things right. I think the other example is like, being in being in the tech industry means you're like IT support for your entire family. There's like that running joke, right?
Yeah,
But
of course.
like how many times has a family member been like, "Oh, I'm looking to get a new like, family desktop computer. What should I get?" And my question is always like, "What do you use it for?" Right?
Yeah, what are you gonna
Listen,
do?
they're not running a design agency and they need, some tricked out, high res monitor with like all the bells and whistles with like maxed out CPU and RAM. Like you're sending emails,
What's
you're printing your boarding pass, you're maybe opening a Word document every once in a while, and you're browsing the web. So there's tons of options. I think people get hung up on that, but I think that idea is very similar to what you're getting at, right? It's just like making the interaction as simple as possible and really understanding how people are using it before you design for it. Because I think that's
Yeah.
the other thing that's like kind of a little bit refreshing about it is it's like in a way it's minimal, so you're less distracted by all the other stuff. I saw this app or this stat a while back where it was like the average number of apps downloaded per month is zero, where people basically download a bunch of stuff early on when they get their phone, and then they like don't really download that much stuff. Like it's rounded down. Obviously, it's probably like a fraction of,
Yeah.
but and the idea there is that there's just like a bunch of apps on your phone that you don't use. There's like a handful that you have heavy usage, and the rest are kind of just like there for the occasional. And then there's the ones that you don't even use. And now there's like, I think there's like an Android feature that'll delete the ones that are the least used. And the reason I'm going down, like, it's like kind of going into this is that um, it's really taking that idea of like, what are your five most used or your six most used applications, bundling them, and then making it smart so they can kind of talk and work together, which is I
Yeah.
think that's actually very interesting.
Yeah, like I got like an iPhone, an iPhone recently. When I was just like connecting it to my older device, it copied over the aliases of all the apps, but it didn't actually download them because it knows cleverly like you don't actually use this. Like, it's almost you only have this app on your home screen. A bit like there's a word for it in Japanese, I think, where you buy books but don't read them. I think downloading apps but not using them is probably the new paradigm. So it's like, but isn't that just clutter and reduces focus? Uh, and again, it comes down to that Steve Jobs mantra of give people what they need, not what they necessarily ask for, because they often do different things.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. All right, cool. So let's wrap. So a lot of good stuff here. I mean, we kind of went through the characteristics, kind of just like why we think they're more popular, some hypothesis, some data to back that up of East versus West usage. We talked about the core features, talked about like value props, ways to stand out, and a ton of other stuff. But the one thing I would just say is that I think that like going back to the original question is like, will the West ever have these? There's a few areas I think are going to be the most compelling. So I think healthcare, I think education and lifestyle are like big opportunities for the West to kind of break into the super app space. And there's some that are already like happening. I think Apple's recent like they have like a fitness plus, so it's like a fitness ecosystem that has a bunch of like integrations. I think that could be has a lot of potential to be a super app. And then there's gonna be some sort of like gaming platform integration that kind of does all of this that we're talking about, where you can kind of watch your favorite gamer play the game, buy their merch, like watch their content. It's kind of like Twitch, but like I think it's going to be much more than that. So, um, yeah, those are just areas that I think verticals that I think are going to be particularly compelling for super apps in the West. What about Is there any verticals that you think are going to be particularly? We'll see this happen more frequently in.
Well, in the UK, the banking sector is really interesting. It's
Yeah,
because of those digital banks. But usually, what happens, like, companies just get bought out in the UK.
yeah,
Like, the big ones usually, and so that I don't know if that stifles the innovation. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like, it'll be. I wonder. I think basically, for it to be successful, an existing player in the market like Uber or PayPal seems to be the best, strongest, or maybe Facebook even, to do this. Or yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
yeah. No, it's a super interesting topic. If you're listening and you're somebody that's worked at a super app, drop us a line. We'd love to kind of validate some of our ideas here and hear a little bit more behind the scenes of like how the design of the apps are actually thought through. Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in today on Design Huddle. If you haven't done so, jump over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. And we will catch you new episodes every Monday. YouTube, Anchor app, anywhere else you listen to a podcast, just search Design Huddle and hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next week for learning more about the future of design. Peace.